there's been a groundswell of support and interest in using some of the banked cap, which is additional taxing authority that we have arising from our healthcare costs in prior years, as well as our growing enrollment. But that's not free money. That's money that is taxed and paid by our friends and neighbors here in the two towns. So despite that, and the proposal tonight that Dr. Ramos and Ms. Schneider will present to increase the budget with the $409,000 of banked cap, we are still presented with cuts that make us all cringe. And I don't think, no matter how we try to find different cuts, there's any way tonight that we will know how better to rob Peter to pay Paul. And we're going to come out of tonight's meeting with a budget that we're required to submit tomorrow to the county superintendent. But this is still a very difficult moment. But if we let that moment pass us without seizing the opportunities ahead of us, then that would, I think, be an even greater pain on our district and our students. We have the opportunity through our strategic plan to map out a vision for our students and for our schools, and to not only find ways to hopefully do more with less, but to bring resources, human capital resources, financial resources, strategic partnerships to our schools. And our work has already begun, but our work takes on an urgency coming out of tonight that I think is really unprecedented. Related to that, we also have the opportunity to demand more resources from our state. Much of our budget dilemma is precipitated by flat state funding, inadequate funding that has shifted the burden of our schools to local taxpayers, who are paying for 93 to 94% of our operating budget, because the state, despite the growing pressures upon us, has kept our funding relatively flat. And while we got $90,000 additional funds this year, that's not even a drop in the bucket. I've talked in the past year, and I think at the budget workshop and forum, about the need to organize and to use our leverage as a community and work with other affected communities to address the fundamental inequities that are coming from Trenton. And there are no easy fixes or any magic bullets, but we do have an opportunity coming out of tonight's meeting to begin acting. Last week, Assemblywoman Mila Jacey and Assemblyperson John McKeon convened a meeting of several Board of Ed members from this Board of Ed, the West Orange Board of Ed, and elected officials from the three towns, South Orange, Maplewood, and West Orange, to discuss a bill that they've introduced in the Assembly for interim relief for $122 million for districts, including ours, who are paying more than even the state's version of the local fair share of taxes in order to sustain our schools in this otherwise extreme deprivation of funding from the state. So that, in the last weeks, I think both Superintendent Ramos and I have heard from many parents and community members and our town officials saying, what can we do? How can we do it? How can we change the situation? And I think we have to educate ourselves, we have to organize, and we have to actually put together the kinds of action plan that this community is capable of putting together and implementing. And it's who are concerned, as we are, about the gravity of this cut. This is the opportunity that our strategic planning process provides us that now we, for terrible reasons, we have the attention of some of the best minds and best practices in the country who can advise us on how to revigorate our libraries, make them serve our 21st century educational goals, make them serve our equity goals better than they are currently. So while tonight's budget may reflect a setback, I think it is my hope, and I believe the hope of many here on the board, and I'll let everyone speak for themselves, that we are going to move forward longer term in a positive way, with a vision that can actually, one day we hope, restore services, but restore services in the most highly impactful way possible as we're trying to eke maximum value out of every single budget dollar.